Chapel Hill. This is Kara Taylor, your Global Outreach Coordinator, with Way to Serve Wednesday. So each week we're looking at ways to serve. And one of those ways is that we send leaders around the world. Old language for this was a missionary or doing evangelism. And I like to move away from that because sometimes that reminds us of going into a place to bring our culture or to dominate. And it's actually just the opposite. We're going to meet Troy Wilson today and his wife Caroline. They are in the urban culture of San Francisco, forming a small organic community of people learning that there is a God who really can be trusted. And so our assignment this week is just to hear his story and then think about the relationships that God has given us. We are all sent ones in our given culture. Each of us can surrender more and share our own story with courage, but to still be a safe place for our friends who are hurting. This is the mission. And I asked Troy if during this time of pandemic, where everything about his simple community looks really different, if that's changed.
In a crazy but good way. Yeah, I feel like as a church and as a Jesus following community, we've been given more opportunities right now than actually ever before. Yeah, in fact, I'm thinking of a couple of examples. There's one person that I met through my running club, and he and his wife invited me and my wife Caroline over to come and have a socially distanced picnic in their backyard. And as we're driving there, Caroline was praying that we would get an opportunity to share Christ with this running friend of mine. And lo and behold, their son was there. Their son's in college. He's usually in college in Canada, but he was home. And the son, as soon as we arrived, started asking me questions. Well, what do you do as for a profession? I use words like, I help people with their spiritual formation. I help people who seem really sure about their faith. I help them doubt some things about their faith. And I help people who don't have faith or doubt faith become more aware of a God that they really can trust in. And so we just had like a 2-minute little interaction there. And then I got an email late that night from my running friend whom we had the picnic with. And he said, my son that met you, he wants to know if he can spend more time with you. And so I emailed the son and told him that I offer a one-on-one spiritual formation via Zoom. and so he and I have been Zooming together for, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks now. And he told me last week that he's a transitioning atheist. And so yeah, I think that story just, highlights that there are opportunities all around me right now, all around you, all around us. And God has given us relationships that we're probably already in. If we're not in those relationships, of course, we need to be getting in those. But I'm sure there are relationships all around you right now that can benefit from just identifying with Christ.
One of the pieces of your mission that I love is that you're growing in loving those who are hurting. And that's true of every believer. Where have you seen that in this season?
Yeah, there's a gentleman who reached out to me. He and I know each other through a real estate transaction last year. But in probably mid-March, right when COVID hit, he reached out to me via text and he said, hey, I remember in our last coffee appointment, you mentioning that you were a Christian. He says, as you know, I'm not a Christian, but I'm going through something right now in my marriage regarding infidelity. And I just would love an opportunity to talk with you and to see what the Christian perspective is all about. Mm. And so, yeah, people like that are truly hurting. Mm. And yet I think as Jesus followers, yeah, one of our callings that we have, all of us, is to be a safe place for people.
Right.
And to be those type of people that someone would actually reach out to in a moment of desperation or a moment of needing some wisdom or input. And he and I have been, FaceTiming now for, I don't know how many months it's been, but since mid-March. And just to try to be the presence of Christ. I mean, we're a church. Chapel Hill's a church, but we are the church. And it doesn't just mean a service that we're trying to get to on a Sunday morning, but it really means being the presence of Christ and being a safe place for people that all of us really can embody. And over the coffee appointment, we weren't talking about real estate. He wanted to know more about my story and like, hey, where do your business practices come from, and kind of some of those things. And I identified with being a Jesus follower in that conversation, but I didn't hear from him for maybe 3 months. And I thought, I blew it. And you know, those moments whenever we finally share our testimony with someone and we think, I'm never going to hear from them again. It's when we kind of trip or fumble our way, or even awkwardly work our way through identifying with being a Jesus follower, being a worshiper. I think God honors that. And apparently this individual was curious, and God is also making sure that these people find us. We've spent not enough time listening to those Black brothers and sisters in our community and in our churches that are truly, truly hurting. Mm. And yeah, I encourage you, as I'm encouraged, you know, reach out to those folks specifically, and listen and grow in those areas, and then just stand up, fight for justice, speak out for those that systemically have not been given a voice.
So we're praying for you in that, praying for these personal relationships that you have too, and all those open doors, praying for your family.
I really do need to say thank you. Thank you for helping us be here and being missionaries on the mission post of downtown San Francisco, and living in a polytheistic culture and global class city. Yeah, what we do as missionaries and how we have rhythms is very different than the culture that we live in. And so perhaps your life there is very similar. And so we've had to work really hard at resting. Yeah, we've had to work hard at resting. Resting does not come easy for us. Our personalities, our calling, our drive, our passion as missionaries is to always be on and hosting people. And yet we're learning that a very important rhythm for us as individuals, but also as a family, is just to have that 1 day in 7. For us, it's Mondays. And a lot of Mondays we catch ourselves, you know, waking up and thinking, what do we have to get done today? And catch ourselves falling right back into those old rhythms of just trying to accomplish and get things done. And so much good and blessing is in the very template that God has given us to truly just rest. I mean, we're learning that resting really does mean surrender. And that's hard for us. We're learning. You can pray for us. You can pray for my wife, Caroline. She's wanting to visit her parents. Her parents are aging, and their health isn't doing so well right now. In fact, her mother has stage 4 ovarian cancer. And we just need wisdom to know when Caroline should go and visit her parents. She really wants to, and we want her to, but just wisdom to know when to do that. And then, you know, on a ministry front, just pray for ongoing discipleship. Just pray that God would raise up more laborers here in San Francisco for us within our church. I'm discipling some, and they're beginning to disciple others, which is super exciting. Pray for us regarding evangelism, that God would continue to make us and shape us to be a safe group of people that people can come to for sanctuary and a respite, and as refugees, and just really find the peace, the comfort, and the fulfillment that Jesus truly promises.
Hi, it's Caroline. I've met many of you before, or some of you perhaps a few years ago at the women's retreat, and just wanted to pop in and say hi and continue to be so profoundly blessed for what you guys do for us here in San Francisco. It is a challenging place to be serving the Lord, but we definitely know that He's at work here. And strangely enough, this time of pandemic has been a really rich time for our church and congregation. I see God really doing wonderful things to deepen relationships among each other, and the curiosity and the interest of other people who've been wondering about God and what it means to be a follower of Jesus and curious about the Bible. Those people continue to just pop up and seek us out. I know that there's all kinds of algorithms that determine how people find us based on doing internet searches, but we know that God has been behind so many of those, and the right people have found Troy. And so I feel like my job a lot of times is he's in here he'll be in our room doing FaceTime discipleship or evangelistic conversations, and I'm in the other room praying. And it has been a joy to have him get off that call and come in and say, so-and-so asked this really great question, or so-and-so said, I felt like I met with God. Just know that you guys are a part of that too.